What do you think about business exhibitions? Are they still effective? And those visitors, that gives you some doubts. Is it your paranoia or is it something else? Let's get back to China. What about 996 and all those social welfare injustices? Is it the government again? I mean, totalitarian regime? Or someone else is playing shift blaming game, huh? Yeah, my name is Alex and you're still watching Know the Game. I know it's not a standard video from myself, but apart from the lectures in economics, entrepreneurship and marketing, sometimes I want to do video blogging as well, where I will share my observations, my assumptions, and yeah, quite often they are business related, but not exactly in form of lecture. It's my observations and assumptions. I'm not a stranger to a business exhibition. I was visiting them, I was running the booths there, I was cooperating with partners for this or another exhibition. So let's call it this way, I know this stuff. And even before I came to China, certain things didn't make real sense. Obviously, I was confident that something about the exhibition is outdated. Time changed, right? We got internet. But something was off. We adapted. I decided to dedicate my time at the exhibition meeting our partners, because it was really an opportunity to see all our partners in one place rather than flying over to them to meet them one-on-one. Okay, but not always I could actually dedicate the time seeing our business partner. Sometimes I was standing and observing and seeing visitors, and something was off. And obviously, before we had certain assumptions, but in China, everything was put in its own place. I did mention that obviously the main impact on the exhibitions was made by the internet. But there are still people who want to come over, touch things, see new opportunities, see the new changes in the industry. Because when you just stuck at your work, you're just unable to observe things going on, right? But it's a real fact as well that there's less necessity in these exhibitions now, thanks to the internet. Though some people do come because they have opportunity to meet somebody, exhibitors not always there to meet somebody, but actually trying to get into a certain market, right? To get new customers. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is fewer and fewer people actually see value in exhibitions today. So who do organizers earn from? Well, from those who exhibit. And what do they need to make exhibitors happy? Crowds. Well, obviously exhibitors want customers, but crowd help to shift the blame. It's not us unable to get your customer, it's you who failed to convince them to be your customer. They just need to organize a crowd. And here where it gets interesting, because in China, obviously exhibitors quite prefer to see a foreign face. Well, don't forget, China is the main exporter of the goods worldwide. So, yeah, the local market is nice, okay, but export is good not just for them, but for the country itself. So, getting more foreign faces is really nice. And that's what happens. Because I'm an expat living in China. And therefore, obviously, I belong in a variety of different expat groups. And certain things started coming out, certain offers. You just need to be a foreigner and you will be participating in an exhibition where your travel to exhibition will be paid, your lunch at the exhibition will be paid, maybe even, and most likely, hotel will be paid. You will be paid to visit exhibition. If it happens for foreigners, why not it's happening with the local crowd? And you see, that's the interesting thing. It's not about China. It's just about me being expat in China and because of that encountering this information. Because I've seen this in exhibitions since 2013 at IFSEC International in Britain, Essen Security, Germany, Expo Protection, France, Intersec, Dubai, and many, many more. It's just, I guess, being expat in a foreign country helped me to encounter this momentum, which explains all these visitors, because they must take a business cards, they must take a photos with you, they need the brochures, and because of this, the amount of their financial bonus will be increased. Yeah, very interesting momentum here. And yeah, obviously, honest businessman also using this opportunity, because why not? And everything will be paid for you and you will earn some money while you're doing your business. It's a great opportunity for some people. The problem is, it's not a majority of those people who are going on exhibitions like this. Anyway, exhibitions are not completely dead, and some of businesses still need to use them in hopes to penetrate this or another market, right? Okay, so first, don't go to exhibition with hopes to get a customer. Use the exhibition to communicate with potential partner, potential hot lead that you have, and use this exhibition as an opportunity to see them and to present stuff to them. But still, we do expect some random visitor to turn into the hot lead and potential partner, right? And here advice for the people who will be participating in exhibitions and having their own booth in exhibitions in China. Now, I did encounter it before, but really rarely during the exhibitions in other countries. But in China, you will have, let's say, the amount of these kind of guys will be much larger than I encountered before. So there will be quite often coming over people who will be interested in your product, asking questions, raising your hopes that this is a potential hot lead. But in the end, they will switch the conversation in regards to the fact that they are trying to offer you their product, their service, their startup incubator, whatever. This is kind of annoying. Therefore, I would highly recommend you, if you're planning to participate in an exhibition here in China, to hire a local staff who would have a conversation with these guys and will decide, this or another visitor, is it even worth your attention or not? So you will have more time to dedicate to actual potential hot leads. Simple as that. What am I truly annoyed that is the fact that some exhibition organizers creating fake visitors instead of thinking how they can change the exhibition itself. It's just like a Kodak who created the digital camera but was willing to sell their cameras with same old approach, because main sales of Kodak before were, well, camera films, right? So they insisted to have something like this in their digital cameras, and that's why they failed. Therefore, exhibition organizers should really concentrate not on creating a fake crowds, but actually coming up with a certain new way of exhibitions so it could benefit everybody. If I knew how they can do it, I would rather sell this information, right? Not just to give away in my video blog. So let's try something lighter. One of my favorite bias in China about us Europeans was the fact that they believe us Europeans are lazy. We only work 40 hours a week. And the interesting momentum, not all the collective West, no, Europeans. So as per their assumptions, in the United States people work more than 40 hours, and they are really hard workers, just like them Chinese, which is kind of biased because when I started Googling this stuff, checking with ChatGPT, yeah, there are certain positions in the United States where people work definitely more than 40 hours. But for the same positions, it's applied also to Europe. Well, every country have their own biases, right? We all believe that all Asians are really good in math, and trust me, my students, when they hear this bias, they're laughing really hard because math is not for every Asian, let's call it this way. But let's be honest, indeed, in China, people do work hard and a lot. 40 hours is something they would dream about. Things do change, but let's start from my arrival in China. And definitely, what I encountered at the very beginning is that basically, in China, you have only 5 days of holiday, vacation holiday that you can take. After 5 years in a company, one company only, you can have 10 days of holidays available to you. Though they do have another momentums, like in October they have national holiday which can last up to 1 week. In Spring Festival, during the January or February, depends on the year, lunar calendar, they have up to 2 to 4 weeks holidays. Then there are May holidays, so they still have enough holidays. It's just, you see, when there are national holidays, I would highly not recommend you to travel around China, because, well, whole China is traveling. Main thing, when we speak about Chinese people working hard, we encounter the topic called 996. It's basically working from 9 to 9, 6 days a week. And who is responsible for this? Well, you might say, of course, again, oppressive government. No, I would give a credit to actually pushing 996 through a Jack Ma, because he used it so much in his speeches, and especially during the economic boom, it was a very powerful momentum to use this kind of thing. Obviously, during the economic boom, a lot of people were raising from poor to, well, even billionaires. Yeah, economic boom is always a time of a lot of opportunities for everyone. Any economy is basically opportunity. Even any crisis is opportunity. But when it's economic boom, more people can actually get to really high level of income and high level of success. So there is a bit of wisdom there. Why he was saying so much about 9 and 6? Well, because if you work from 9 to 9 in your company 6 days a week and work hard, you will be as successful as himself. The problem is not every company was belonging to Jack Ma, because you need to give a credit to Jack Ma for his 9 and 6. He paid, and maybe still paying, really well. The problem is not every business decided, oh yeah, with hard working comes also extra pay. There's a lot of companies that will tell you just like, well, our salary is already above the average, so yeah, you need to do the overtime. But as I said, time is changing and less people accepting this 9 and 6. I will even say more, government officially forbade 996. Though business is business, and business is always about increasing profits and lowering down expenses, and therefore they are trying to fight it. And here comes a very interesting trick. You see, here comes a very interesting moment that makes me really disappointed in modern education. We learn a lot of stuff, even economics now, but we don't learn certain basics that will help us in our life. For example, like labor law. And part of labor law is dedicated to social insurance. In China, it's relatively new thing. It was introduced in 2015, if I recall correctly. And therefore, regular people not really sure how it works. How's linked to 996? Let me explain. 996 already against the law in China. But certain companies like to play with the formalities, with the wording, and in the end, it's no longer overtime. It's no longer 996, but technically, you still need to do your overtime. And here comes the social insurance. You see, what is social insurance? Why it's not being explained much, even back home? The social insurance means, and you are paying money, and your employer is paying money. An employer usually paying much bigger chunk of money. So figures are different everywhere, but I can tell you, for example, from my own experience here in China, I have a first level of social insurance, and this means I'm paying 10% of my salary as a social insurance. My employer pays 30%. Now, here comes the fun fact. You see, let's take a hypothetical not Jack, not Ma. He started working in a certain company and offered nice salary, 20,000 RMB, which is roughly 3,000 euro. If he will pay social insurance and income tax, he will end up, well, roughly 17,000 RMB. But employer coming over and telling, listen, not Jack, not Ma. You see, you're losing up to 4,000 RMB a month, right? 4,000 RMB, that's good money. How about that? We will sign this agreement between me and you will earn 20,000 as per paper, but you actually need to pay 500 RMB as a social insurance, and let me show you why. Because on this paper, another contract that I will ask you to sign, you will be receiving salary of 5,000 RMB. Don't worry, it's just for the tax purposes. Because 5,000 RMB is not a subject for income tax, and social insurance won't be so high for you as well. Because, 20,000, 10%, that's 2,000 RMB already, right? Not Jack, not Ma thinks. This social security, what is that? If I'm paying even this 500, I'm already getting medical coverage and all the other momentums. Pensions, what is pension? It's somewhere there in the future, and everybody is talking that the age is rising. Money now is more important to me right now, right? Says not Jack, not Ma, and says, okay, I'll sign. What happened next? Well, as I said, China is changing. And not Jack, not Ma no longer wants to work 9 and 6. And not Jack, not Ma finds out that government forbade 9 and 6 to be used in the companies. He wants to work as per government request. His 40 hours or whatever is written in his contract. Obviously, he comes to the office to the boss saying, well, government forbid 9 and 6. Boss says, nope, we're working our overtime. Shut up, go do your job. No problem. Not Jack, not Ma, going to the labor office. Labor office, obviously on the side of not Jack, not Ma. Labor law is very powerful in China. But here comes the catch. Basically, not Jack, not Ma, not even need to worry about the lawyer, because the law is on his side and obviously he will win. And the court will say, okay, then obviously there will be no more work relation between you two, so you need to pay him this compensation, this many months, plus this many month salary, this many months, this many months, this many months. Wow, not Jack, not Ma is happy. Let's say he got 6 months wages now, salary, sorry, and he's happy. I mean, he's multiplying 20,000 by 6. And what is his surprise when he's seeing his document and all the calculations done in regards of 5,000? The one he paid Social Security from. Here comes the interesting catch, because you are fully covered and secured by the government according to the taxes you paid. The fact that you were earning 20,000, well, guys, are you avoiding taxes then? You didn't pay income tax and social insurance yourself from this amount of money. You get what you deserve from what you actually paid, your taxes and social security. Here's the trick. And the interesting thing, people really underestimate the power of this 30% that their employer is paying. Because 30%, that's their pension. That's something actually people not so keen to think about, but time flies. And you see, it's very interesting. When I lived in Ireland, in Scotland, basically in so-called collective West, there was nobody saying like, why do I need to pay social security, pension? Come on, when it will happen? And will it even happen? For some reason, it has some geographical area where this bias, why do we pay social security, is very powerful. Is it just about business, or maybe some soft power helps the business to earn more and having some other agenda, You see, when we speak about China, quite a lot of even Chinese, they blame the government for very small pensions. But at the same time, when you go in deeper and find out about their financial relation with their boss and their employer, you're finding out that they're almost not paying social insurance. A lot of people, especially in the media, like to talk about, oh, Chinese government unable to pay pensions. Their social welfare funds are really not so well. But at the same time, whose fault is that? Regular people? Well, they don't know about business. They're definitely profitalizing on it. You see, here comes a very interesting momentum. Right now, a lot of business in China like to scream that government tightening the screws and becoming more oppressive. Are they now? Because from what I see, government of China trying to make the same system like anywhere in the world and to ensure that the system works. And as I said before, in my previous example, quite a lot of business in China, they not used to actually playing by the rules and paying taxes, social welfare for their employees, and so on. So it's very interesting momentum. We are always shown the downside, but not the whole truth behind it, half truth. And you see, I noticed it very quickly. Why? Well, because my youth I spent in Ireland, and my first jobs were in Ireland, where obviously I was straight away paying and social security and all the taxes. And when I came back to Latvia, I encountered again the same thingy, that why do I need to pay social insurance? Come on, let's put you the quarter of the social insurance and so on. And then I got fired because we were demanding salary raise, which were promised to us when we were just hired, and got almost nothing. And therefore, obviously, in all my new other places of work, I was insisting that all my taxes being paid. Yes, I will get less, but I will get actual social security. And it works, even in Latvia, even though a lot of people saying that, ooh, Latvia government doesn't care. You see, the system works. It's just sometimes we like to blame the government, but maybe it's not the government to blame. Interesting thought, right? Everyone likes to think about the government as top mastermind. In reality, even with good intentions, it will take time on how to implement things right, especially since not just business is a victim of economic boom in China. Everyone. It takes time to adapt. And if someone sticks to the story and thinks it's only and all about China, think again. This can be applied to any country. It's just because it's China and there was economic boom and things happening so rapidly because it's like a huge economy coming through such a huge change, it's really easier and faster to spot it. And things are changing in China as well. Now, for instance, the government ensures that there are no two separate offices for income tax and social insurance, and one specific office deals with both, avoiding this gap, which was well mistreated before. And I see people working less and less overtime. 996 definitely leaving. Well, at least not so many people anymore. And I see people who are working 6 days a week, working 5 days and 1 Saturday in 2 weeks, or maybe that's it. They're only working 5 days a week. And there's quite a lot of offices I was interacting where they were saying, no, it's Saturday, Sunday, we can do business consulting, and then that's our day off. So things are changing. It would be impossible to encounter something like this when I came here in 2018. So yeah, China is changing. From the traffic where when I came in 2018, it was really a gamble to cross the crossroad on a green light, because even a bus wouldn't stop. Now, especially bus will stop, and more cars are stopping on the pedestrian road to pass you through. So it's not only applying to people's habits and behavior on the road. Keep this in mind and don't be so biased. And yeah, that's all I wanted to say today. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you again.